Welcome in, friends, to Betting Pros. It's the college football preview show for Week 8. I am Chris Welsh. I'm not your normal host. That guy, he's over there. That's Scott Bogman, who's filling in for Thor. We got Mike Farrell in the house on the Twitters at Bogman Sports and M Farrell Sports with 2 L's. All the Twitters are taken care of. Now we just got to get you guys prepped for the games. How stupid was Week 7? I would say largely, because I was on this show last week. I'm like, just because I have to, I'm going to bet USC. Well, let's make it a lot better. A lot of weird stuff happened. Mike, how did Week 7 treat you? It didn't treat me so kind.
It wasn't great. I had Washington. I had the over. A lot of things did happen, but, expecting USC to play better. I can't figure Notre Dame out, lose to Louisville and beat USC, blah, 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 on and on. So, I don't know. Most of them came in, but it was a weird week. I mean, there was a lot of unders I took that actually went over, and that kind of upset me.
Boggs, I think you had the same thing. Didn't you have some unders that you were really feeling that UCLA under, and then just some weird stuff played to the overs?
I mean, I spent the whole season getting back to 500 on my article, and I went 4-6 this week to put me one game below again, which is just infuriating. And it's the way it goes. So, yeah, I mean, it was a weird week. That UCLA, Oregon State, I just did not expect Oregon State to have that much offense against UCLA, and they did. They looked great. And I don't know, though. I'm probably going to be picking UCLA on this show again here today, so I'm a glutton for punishment. But Texas was on a bye. The Steelers were on a bye. It was a weird week for me. I was just kind of hanging out watching football and screaming at the TV and watching the veins pop out of my neck. So I guess it wasn't.
That sounds like a normal sounds like a normal Saturday for all of us. Wallet empty or full, screaming veins. That sounds like a completely normal weekend. So let's get you guys prepped for some of the big games that we're going to be talking about. And let's just jump right into the action. You guys know where to follow us. You know to make sure you are subscribed right here on Betting Pros, youtube.com/Betting Pros. Make sure you got the notifications on because you'll be notified of all the amazing shows. We got the early line look that Thor and Froton and I do. We got this show right here. And of course, Mike Farrell and Thor on Saturdays at 10 a.m. You don't want to miss that. That is your last big key to making the right bets. So let's get into it. First game up, we have got number 7, Penn State at number 3, Ohio State. The line is 4.5. The total is 46.5. We have got percentage on the tickets for Penn State, and we've got a lot of the money on Penn State, and it looks like everything, tickets and money, is on the under. So, Mr. Mike Farrell, what say you on Penn State and Ohio State?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the under. I don't really know. I mean, I assume Ohio State's going to win this football game. James Franklin has a horrific record against Ohio State. He beat him in 2016, and I don't think he's beat him since. But I like the under here. Manny Diaz's defense playing very, very well. I'm not trusting this Ohio State offense yet. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to trust them the entire season because we're already midway. So I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I could see, a 24-17 type of game. I just don't know who's going to win and who's going to cover. So give me the under.
Boggs, when I was doing the early line show with Thor and Froton, I felt a similar vibe. I felt like there was a distrust that was kind of going on with Ohio State. There wasn't an overplay that anybody really wanted to take. What say you on this? Is there a bet that you actually like out of this game?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be on the under as well. These teams, by the way, 3-7 in the polls and then 6-7 in PFF grade, by the way. Just a real close one on the wire. It's a star-studded affair. I feel like it's going to come down to who makes the bigger mistake. And I think that's going to be Kyle McCord. He's the wild card in this one. The quarterback for Ohio State, he has more turnover-worthy plays than Drew Aller because they don't really let Aller throw the ball. So it's 7-1, but he also has more big-time throws than Aller, so maybe he has that as well. Ohio State's offense is one-dimensional with all these running backs injured. Henderson, Williams, Trainum are all questionable. Emeka Egbuka didn't play last week. He's questionable. So I think Ohio State is more explosive. I think they're the better offense, but they're also one-dimensional. And I think the pass rush is the difference. I think Chop Robinson, Adisa Isaac, Amin Vanover against the Ohio State offensive line is just slightly better than Tuamalu and Jack Sawyer. One of those guys is going to get Fashanu, who's going to be, one of the high picks in the NFL draft this year. Give me Ohio State to turn the ball over in a critical spot. I'll take Penn State, but I really do like the under. I'm with Farrell. I think that's a better bet.
Think that's going to make the article?
Probably not.
No, okay. We like it.
Too close. It's too close.
Quite that much. All right. UCF is going to be traveling to Oklahoma, who is 6th in the nation. They are an 18.5-point favorite. We got a big line here. 64. We have got the tickets and the money in favor of UCF. Not by an incredibly wide margin, but it does lean in that direction. We've got the tickets on the over, though, and we've got the money on the under. So there's a discrepancy there. Mr. Mike Farrell, what say you on UCF and that big line with Oklahoma?
Yeah, give me the over. I think this is, Dylan Gabriel playing against his old team. It's not like a vendetta thing or anything like that, but it's just you always want to play better against the team you used to play for. UCF struggled against the Big 12 in their inaugural season, as many expected them to. They still haven't figured out the speed of play in this conference. They're going to give up some big plays. But they are also capable of putting up points on Oklahoma. Oklahoma is going to be off of that, obviously the tremendous victory. It can be a little bit of a lull for them. I don't like that number. It's too high for me. If I were leaning, I'd say UCF because that's a big, big number. But I think the over here is the safe play. I think this is going to get over 75 points, something like that.
Bogman, you hate some Oklahoma. But is there a spread play here? And what do you think about the discrepancy between the money and the tickets on that total?
Yeah, I don't like it. I like Oklahoma in this game. I don't really like the total, so I'm the opposite of Mike. I don't like the total, but I do like Oklahoma here. I think the big difference is that while UCF's offense has been great, they're 27th points per game, 34.7 points per game is nice. They haven't faced a defense like OU's yet. They're only allowing 14 points per game. They're 7th in the country, and they're gassed up coming off a bye week after facing Texas, and they're confident. Of 170 FBS QBs that have had 50 dropbacks, Timmy McClain has the most time to throw of any quarterback, and that is not going to work against Ethan Downs and Rondell Bothroyd against OU. It's just not going to work. UCF is 3rd in running with 246 yards per game, but they aren't going to get that against Oklahoma. The 156 yards against Texas is the most OU has given up this year. UCF rush defense is 124th. OU is going to beat them up and down the field, force them to pass, and then wipe out the quarterback. I think they're going to get a lot of 3-and-outs, and I like OU going away in that one.
Wow, that had to hurt to say. I know it did, just like a little bit. Are you ready to put your betting skills to the test? I know you are. Everybody in the comments like, oh, I could pick better than these guys. Okay, prove it. This is your chance to prove it. Join the Betting Pros College Football Podcast betting group where you can make your picks all season long. And if you're among the top ROI performers, you could win big. Prizes include a signed Garrett Wilson Ohio State jersey. That's pretty sweet. And premium subscriptions to Fantasy Pros and Betting Pros. Just make at least 100 picks throughout the season to qualify. Jump in now at bettingpros.com/college or in the Betting Pros app under College Football Podcast Group. May the best better win. And prove it. That's what I tell you. Let's see you do it. Number 17, Tennessee, going up against number 11, Alabama. Boy, in previous years, this would look really, really awesome. This game is fine. Alabama, a bit disappointing. We have got a barely over 50% ticket share on Bama, but the money is on Tennessee with this 8.5-point spread. The total is 47.5, but the tickets and the money are on the under. So, Mike, is there a play for you that you want to jump in on right now for Alabama, Tennessee?
I mean, obviously, it's a bit of a revenge game from last season for Alabama. Tennessee's offense isn't what it was last year. They're not going to be able to exploit that secondary. They're more of a run-first team, and so is Alabama. So I like the under. I know I'm picking a lot of over-unders here, but this one just sort of screams to me as a physical football game. Neither team can throw the ball effectively. I mean, it's really astonishing how bad Tennessee is throwing the ball after last year with Hendon Hooker and this year with Joe Milton. So they're going to try to control the ball. Alabama's not going to risk things with Jalen Milroe. He's going to throw the ball downfield a few times, but they're not going to do that intermediate passing game that he's so bad at. They're going to run the football too. I think Alabama's going to win. I don't think they win. I think they win maybe by 4 or 5 points. So, but I'm not certain on that one. Take the under instead.
Yeah, Boggs, there's there's a luster that's gone from this game. It feels like it's not as dynamic in years past. You feel like these would have been the games where it's like, oh, toe to toe, boom, boom, boom. And it's just not the case. Alabama has just been kind of a disappointment all year. It's going to be really about how these guys are going to be able to move the ball. And in most years, I feel like 47.5, we'd look at that line and we'd be like, I don't know, man, that is a good over. That's not the case here. This seems like something you would want to play the under on, which you just kind of hate to do in general. So what say you?
I mean, I agree completely with Mike. Both of these teams haven't looked, they have looked strong since their one loss, but I feel like the Bama defense, to me, is a big difference here. Since Texas, Alabama hasn't allowed a team to score more than 21 points and barely over 300 yards of offense to anyone. That's against Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Arkansas. So all SEC teams, not the best SEC offenses, but strong SEC teams. Tennessee hasn't allowed anyone to score more than 20 since their loss to Florida. The competition wasn't as good, but still a UTSA, South Carolina, Texas A&M, good matchups. Joe Milton and Jalen Milroe had 11 and 10 completions last week. That is not going to work in this game. I think the stars in this game are going to be Dallas Turner and James Pierce on the defensive lines for these teams. And I'm with Mike. I want the under in this one. It's just not going to be a high-scoring, explosive game by, any measurement to me. I think it's going to go way under.
All right, let's go over to the Pac-12 where we got Wazoo, Washington State, traveling to Oregon, number 9 in the nation, 18.5 points. Their current favorite, 61 is the line. We've got the money and the tickets in favor of Oregon by okay margin in the 60s. The tickets are heavily in favor of the over, but the money is in favor of the under. So those two are clashing. Mike, what say you about Oregon and Wazoo for this game? Is there a bet you like?
I mean, obviously coming off a big rivalry game, losing in the fashion they lost, very aggressive approach by Dan Lanning, kudos to him. Would have liked to have that field goal though at the half. 18 and a half is a lot. I mean, Washington State has been exposed. We're kind of seeing who they are. Cam Ward's still a solid quarterback. They can put up some points. Seems like a lot. I'm going Wazoo here. Again, the over-under here is intriguing, but I'm not sure if I like that play at all. So give me Washington State to cover this one.
Boggs, Oregon, 18.5. I don't know. There's always something about big spreads, even in the Pac-12, that seem a little bit wild. We've seen those not work with Colorado in some instances, USC with Arizona. Is there something in the spread that you like, or is there a total? Is there something that really gets you in this game, or is this kind of I feel like this is a game that you're like, nah, I don't trust it.
No, I hate this game. Washington State makes me look bad every time I pick for them or against them. They do the opposite of what I pick. So I'm just kind of snake bitten by them this year. I still think Oregon's really, really good. This game to me feels like Wazoo against UCLA a couple weeks ago. UCLA ran for 180 against Wazoo while keeping the Cougs at 216 total. I think Oregon's offense is a little more efficient with Bo Nix. I think they're mad, and Wazoo is giving up on average 147 yards on the ground. I think this is going to be an Oregon running game, which means the points, I don't know. I kind of like the under. I think the way Cam Ward plays is going to be the deciding factor. He was bad last week, but he's been cold. So I'll roll with Oregon here, but I like the under more, and I hate this game.
All right, we're going over Minnesota to number 24, Iowa. I know Thor loved this game. A funny thing, when we were doing the pre-show, his system had the over. It was like 34.
No, really?
But Thor warned everybody, if you bet the over, he will personally come to your house, rip your phone from your hand or your computer, and break it. So you cannot take the over, regardless of what his system says. But you also know that he loves Iowa, though there were some key injuries that were playing in favor of Minnesota, if I remember correctly as well. I think his system, if I remember correctly, had around like 4 in favor of Iowa, 4.5. So, Mike, what do you think about the Thor Bowl of where he lives versus his school?
Well, I mean, Iowa's going to win the football game. It's the under. I mean, you just have to hit the under here. I mean, not only is Iowa against everybody a great under, it's Iowa against Minnesota. Minnesota's horrible. They can't score any points. I mean, this is going to be.
But they're coming off a bye, Mike.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, they're
coming off a bye.
Horrible football team. This is going to be a 20-10 game. Maybe 17-10, something like that. Take the under. I've been making money all season long. The rare occurrence that Iowa scores, 41 against Western Michigan. That's just an outlier. Never happens. I took the under last week in the Wisconsin game, hit. Iowa and Iowa State have been taking the under, but when Minnesota and Nebraska came up early in the season, I hammered the under. One of my biggest bets of the year came in. These teams can't score. It's going to be the ugliest game ever. It's going to be a low-scoring defensive affair. I'd say maybe 20-10.
The under's in play, Boggs. What do you think?
20-10 with 2 defensive touchdowns for Iowa, by the way, probably.
Yeah, 32
and 2 field goals.
32.5 or the 3.5 spread. Is there something that you really like here?
The under. I mean, it's going to be a slow, boring battle for the axe is what this game is. Iowa's top 10 in scoring defense. They're in the 30s in rushing and passing defense. Both of these defenses are plus 10 in turnovers. 7 of the top 10 PFF graded players on defense in this game are in the secondary as well. So there's going to be no passing. I mean, I think this is going to be, you know, like the other game we talked about, this, you're going to know the defensive guys in this game at the end of the game. It's Joe Evans. It's Deontay Craig. Been putting pressure on QBs for Iowa. You know, they keep them from scoring, and they have to pass late, and they wipe them out. That's what's going to happen. I think Josh Joyner, Anthony Smith for the Gophers. We're going to hear their names a lot. I'll take the under. Iowa's down McNamara for the season. Deacon Hill is making his first start ever. Kaliakmanis can make some plays, but with Darius Taylor probably down again, I just hate all of the offense in this game. It's not a good one. It's going to be a boring Big Ten game.
Would anybody be cool with the first half under? I'm going to guess it's going to probably be like 16.5. That'd probably be the number, but maybe 15.5 if they want to screw with us. I feel like
I'd
want to play that before.
Quarter, any under. Any under.
Okay. Any prop under on yards.
Anything.
Yeah.
If you go over on anything, you know, like Thor should confiscate the prop.
All right, I think I'm going to take the first half under because you get a little bit more gas defenses towards the end. Maybe it plays to whatever offense might be there if there is any. I don't know. I kind of like you're dealing with scripted drives, I suppose, in the first, but I like the idea of that first half under. That might be what I jump into. Let's go to the Bogman Bowl in your neck of the woods, Texas. Is a 21.5 point favorite going up against Houston. Total is 61.5. The tickets are on Texas. The money is on Houston. We don't have any info on the totals. So, Mike, what do you think about Texas-Houston?
I mean, I'm going to take Texas. I don't like Houston. I think this football team's given up on Dana Holgorsen. I think they're about ready for a really bad finish. Texas is going to be a little bit angry. They know they need style points. They know they need to win every game big. They know they need to get back to the 12 championship. They know they need a lot of things to occur. And they're going to be ticked off, and they're going to take it out on a Houston team that just hasn't been playing well, isn't very consistent. Like I said, they got a coach who's a dead man walking. Texas is going to take out all their frustrations for the Oklahoma game in this one and win by maybe 28, 30 points.
Bogman, this is your team. There is no more hook 'em horns than Bogman as Vince Young sits above your head like a crown. I mean, like, please be blasphemous here. What are you going to do with this game?
It's Texas. Texas is mad. They're coming off a bye. This isn't a far travel for them either. It's in day of, out day of. Houston is bad on defense, 107th in scoring, 117th against the pass, 99th against the rush. They haven't played a defense as good or an offense as good as Texas. And what Mike said is the key here. Texas knows they have to win with style points after having the loss to Oklahoma a couple weeks ago. So you have to put up points. You have to have impressive wins to make that resume look good. And it's going to be bad. And I was going to go to this game, but our Diamondbacks are in the playoffs, Welsh, and there's a game on the same day. So I'm going to stay at home and watch the Diamondbacks and watch Texas beat up on Houston because it's just a couple hours from me. So I was going to go.
Hopefully there's a game. Hopefully there's a game.
Well, no, there's still be a game.
Oh, is that 4? Okay, I wasn't sure.
I think it's game 4.
All right, well, you can at least bet it. You can at least bet it if you'd like. So there you go.
I won't, but
there's yours. If you would like to see who all of our guys are betting, download the free Betting Pros app for iOS and Android. We can talk about it on here, but maybe you forget. You can't watch all the shows. We also can't be with you at all times, but the Betting Pros app can. You can use Sportsbook Sync to automatically track your own bets across all major sportsbooks in one spot. Easily track your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays, and you can get personalized bet recommendations tailored to your interests, including like line alerts. You can have game notifications that can tell you when it's hit a certain number. It's very, very cool. And at that point, you'll be notified so you can lock in your bet at the line you were looking for. Head over to bettingpros.com/apps to start setting your line alerts now. or download the Betting Pros app on iTunes or the Google Play Store. Go and do that today. Ole Miss, number 13 Ole Miss is a 5.5-point favorite at Auburn. The total is 56.5. We got all the monies and all the tickets on Ole Miss. We have got a predominant amount of the tickets on the under. We don't have any information on the cash, at least as we are doing this. So, Mike, what do you think? Everything is leaning Ole Miss. Are you leaning Ole Miss?
Yeah, I like Ole Miss in this one. I mean, Auburn's not a good football team. 5.5 seems low. I like the under too. I would parlay it. Ole Miss is going to score their points. Auburn's not going to. They don't have any passing game whatsoever. And so they're going to have to, I think, play from behind and try to do things that they can't do. Even though Hugh Freeze has been very patient, he hasn't really tried to air it out when they've fallen behind. They try to stay in the game, control the clock. That's what they're going to try to do. Ole Miss is going to try to run it down their throat. Ole Miss is going to cover this game, probably win by 10. I think they're overrated at 13, but Auburn's not a good football team. So parlay Ole Miss with the under.
Bogman, what say you here? Ole Miss, Auburn, is that number too low or low enough for you to bet Ole Miss?
I like the under more than anything here. I think the good news is that Ole Miss has been just okay on the road. They lost to Bama. They beat Tulane, but it took a while. It's kind of a slow-moving thing there. But I think the offense, getting a bye week after a tough home win against Arkansas is big for the Rebs. I think Auburn is strong on defense, so the under is the best play here. On offense for Auburn, it's about the passing game, and I don't think they can do it. Once again, they're bad. They're 123rd in passing. Peyton Thorne has been miserable. He has one game over 200 yards. That was against FCS Samford. 2 games over 100 and 3 under 100 yards. Last week, he was 12 for 23 for 102 yards. Robbie Ashford comes in to run, but he only has one game of over 50 yards rushing and hasn't attempted more than 6 passes in a game. Ole Miss isn't LSU on offense, but they have a top 12 turnover margin and can actually play offense. Give me the Rebs and give me the under in this one.
All right, Bogman's got to play. Number 16, Duke at number 4, Florida State. 13.5 is the line. I think that's stayed since Sunday. We were talking about this one. That's not crossed any big marker. Outside of if you want to bet Florida State, it's still in a good spot. 49 is the total, but we've got tickets and money on Duke. We've got a ton of the tickets on the over. It's a split on the money right now. Is it a split for you, Mike? Where do you want to do, Florida State or Duke?
I'm going Florida State. I mean, like I said, they disappointed me against BC. They didn't cover against Virginia Tech, so I went against them last week in Syracuse. They just absolutely drilled them. They're starting to peak a little bit here. I mean, they know they're right on that precipice of 4 or 5. They know they got a battle. They know they got to win every game pretty much to get into the playoff. I mean, that one loss, Florida State team could still get in, but they're also being overlooked a little bit. I think they're playing angry. Duke, solidly coached team, plays well. Riley Leonard, I don't know. After the first couple of games of the season, I was like, okay, this guy's could be a high-level NFL prospect. Since then, I know the injury and all that stuff, but since then he's been, not so great. Not that he's been bad, he just hasn't been a guy who can lead your team from behind or put up big plays. Explosive plays are low. Duke can't score in bunches. Florida State can. I think Florida State's going to romp this game by 20.
Bogman, what do you think here? This seems like a fun bet. Are you betting it?
Yeah, I'm all over Florida State in this one. Duke's offense is a little bit of fool's gold. I mean, Riley Leonard is day-to-day. There's a high ankle sprain. I know they're prepping like he's going to play. He ain't going to play. I don't think it's going to happen. Henry Bellin took over last week. He completed 4 passes in that game that they won. They had to punt 6 times. They were 1 of 9 on third downs, and they let NC State possess the ball for 36-56, and they still somehow won this game. That is not going to work against Florida State. If Florida State has the ball for 36 minutes, they're putting up 50. Duke ranks 2nd in coverage on PFF, 8th against the pass, nationally. They haven't seen FSU yet. They've seen Notre Dame, Clemson, NC State. Those are all good offenses, but they're not dangerous passing offenses. Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, who is probable now. I thought he was going to play last week and didn't. It didn't matter. Florida State still rolled. They're going to be tough for Duke to stop. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. So give me the FSU. Give me FSU and the over. I'm more confident about FSU than I am the over because I just don't know if Riley Leonard does not play. I don't know if Duke scores a point. So I will take Florida State going away.
FSU make that article?
Yes.
Hey, there we go. Lock it in, baby. I'm locking in after this. I wish I didn't do it last week because we got number 14 Utah at number 18 USC. USC is a 7-point favorite. 55.5 is the line. They have been a disappointment. That defense can't stop anything, but will Utah be the thing where this changes? Well, we've got tickets on USC, money on USC, tickets and cash on the over by a pretty decent margin. Mike, can you back USC after their performance this week against Utah?
No. I think they're going to win the football game. Utah obviously owned them last year. Cam Rising did a lot of heroic things in those games, and he was a big difference maker. I don't think Utah can win this football game the way they're playing. They're going to have to pound the ball. They're going to have to play physical. They're going to have to, RPOs, do a lot of things with the quarterback. They're not going to be able to pass downfield, even though USC's defense stinks. I don't think they're going to be able to put up big points throwing the ball. So they're going to have to keep this game close. Their defense is awesome. And they can, if Notre Dame was able to shut this team down, I think some adjustments will be made, especially in protections for USC, because they were just horrible when it came to scheming for protection. But they'll be able to keep Caleb Williams a little bit more in check than he was last year. So I like USC to win the game, but not to cover. That's too many points. So give me Utah. But I wouldn't money line this one. Utah owned them last year, but without Cam Rising, I'm not on board.
Boggs, what do you think? Did you see all the Caleb Williams turning into Dak Prescott memes, the fading and people out on USC and Caleb? What do you think the bet is here for you? Do you like anything?
They're so ready to just torch them when they have a bad game. I like the over here. It could be dicey because, look, first of all, I'll just say, stay away from this game. Just watch it. It's too close. These offenses are too different. One of these teams is going to, I think, control the game, and I don't know which one it is. If I had to pick, I would say USC on a bounce back. They're at home. They're mad because Utah beat them twice last year, but also Utah beat them twice last year. So I hate this game overall. I think USC's defense is pathetic. They let Colorado, Arizona, Notre Dame put 40 points on them. Utah's bad on offense. They put up 34 on Cal. They had to have 300 yards rushing to do it. I don't think they're going to possess the ball long enough to do that against USC. So I think, like I said, it's a stay away, but I'm going to take USC to bounce back, and I'll take the over because I think any team in the nation can score on USC. And there are some pathetic offenses. Utah's one of them. But I think they'll be able to put points up on USC because their defense is bad.
Final up, Bogman previewed this game, mentioned it a little bit because number 25 UCLA is a 17-point favorite going into Stanford. The total is 53.5. We got a little bit of info. We got tickets on Stanford, a decent amount of tickets on the under. We don't have any cash information. But Mike, final one up here. UCLA 17 points. Is the spread a play? Is the total a play? Is this one that you really want to target this week?
No, I wouldn't touch it. But if I did, I would take Stanford. Obviously we saw what happened last week, the 29-0 deficit. They started, with the most amazing comeback. They're feeling themselves. This isn't the same Stanford, I don't believe, that lost to Sacramento State, but they're still Stanford. They're not very good. And that being said, I don't trust UCLA. They're just every year under Chip Kelly so far, they've been like Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes they look great. Sometimes they don't look great. This is it's a rivalry game, not truly. It's not UCLA, USC, or Cal, Stanford, but it's a rivalry game. I mean, it's a Pac-12 divisional game. It could be, a 10-point, 12-point win for UCLA. I think they're going to win the football game, but I don't want to lay that many points. I don't trust UCLA, so I'm staying away from it, honestly, but I'm thinking Stanford can cover that.
Bogman, what do you think? You teased us at the beginning that we're going to get back into the UCLA game. Are you getting back in the UCLA game?
Hey, look, I'm glad that Farrell and I can finally disagree on something. It feels like there's a little bit too much agreement in this show. But I mean, I think some of these become more obvious the more we learn about these teams the further the season goes on. But I think this is a big letdown spot for Stanford here. I do like what we've seen from them. Obviously, Ashton Daniels, 27 of 45, 396 and 4 touchdowns. Elik Ayamenor, I think that's how you say his name, 13 catches, 294 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Came up huge against Colorado. And Troy Taylor built some unbelievable offenses with Sacramento State. And I like what the direction they're heading, and I like what they've showed. But I still think UCLA is a very good team. I think they're closer to USC or Oregon, who both blew out Stanford, than Colorado and Arizona, who they played close against in both those games. UCLA can be one-dimensional on run defense. They're on run offense. They're a run-heavy team, but Stanford's bad against the run. They're 68th nationally, and PFF grades them as 124th against the run. And they have given up, on average, 175 rush yards per game in their 4 losses. I think this is Carson Steele. I think it's TJ Harden. I think it's UCLA's offensive line imposing their will on Stanford, controlling the clock, controlling the ball, and putting them in bad scenarios for that good defense to get after Stanford's offensive line and specifically the quarterback. So I think UCLA wins this one going away, but they have let me down twice already this year, so I hesitate to pick them with much confidence. But I'm trying to throw that out and say I like UCLA in this game.
Caveats. Give it a little wiggle room. That's what we're doing. Well, guess what? You guys want to follow the bets? Make sure you download the Betting Pros app. You can follow us. You can track our bets, see what we're betting throughout the week. If we're not here to talk you through a show, this was the preview for the big televised game, the Big Ten, that you guys are going to want to pay attention to. But there's lots more bets out there, ways you can lock into them as well. Besides downloading Betting Pros and getting locked into the app, check out Bogman's article. That'll be posted on Betting Pros on Thursday. I believe it's always dropping on Thursday. You can follow him at Bogman Sports to see those the breakdown ones, and then you get some other, there's 10 bets in there that you guys can get going with. Mike Farrell and Thor on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Get into that live stream that is leading you up into the games. That is how you are going to get all of your bets set. Anything else you want to plug, Mike? Anything else going on? I know that's the big dog.
You know, the viewership on the podcast on Saturday, well, webcast, whatever you want to call it, between me and Thor.
Live stream.
It's high as it's ever been. Every week we break records. So that's really good.
Nice.
And this show is part of it. You know, not to pat myself on the back or anything, but the idea I had last year, because we did a one-off, as you remember, we just did the Saturday show. Let's do something midweek. Let's get people hooked. Let's get them thinking. Let's do it. So this is a great lead into that show, and it's really helped tremendously. So I thank everybody who likes, subscribes, whatever, follows the Betting Pros YouTube channel. The viewership is up every week, so that's a lot of pressure now. We got to keep doing that, but it's been fun. I mean, we're doing well, making people some money. So that's what I want to plug. I mean, I got my own thing going on, but I'm plugging this. The gambling aspect of my life it's the most fun aspect I have.
That's fun. And we're teasing here because we're not giving people what they want because Thor's not here either. So they're like, get this schmo off the TV. So then what they can do is they can get Thor and Mike on Saturdays and they get everything they want. So no wonder.
So hear me really say 2 words and Thor just won't shut up for the rest of the show. That's it. It's an hour and a half.
What I'm trying to tell you, Mike, is you should actually thank me for your viewership going up because I am single-handedly pushing people to that show because they're like, we can't get this guy anymore. He's got to get off. We need to get these. So thanks to me, their show is continuously getting better. That is clear to everybody. But thank you to Bogman. Thank to Mike. M. Farrell Sports with 2 L's. Bogman Sports on Twitter. You can follow me at Is It The Welsh. Make sure you guys are locked into the YouTube channel, youtube.com/bettingpros. Subscribe, make comments, win stuff, and hit notifications so you get notified of all the fun stuff. Thank you guys, as always, for hanging out. Week 8 in the books. Make sure you lock in on Saturday. Talk to you next time. Peace out. Bye, friends.
Good luck.
Look at that.